chat still streaming.
Alright, the stream is running. Hey everybody, welcome to the Legion rating meeting. We're going to start it up here in 1 or 2 minutes. So we will put a link to this out on the Facebook page so anybody who's late or misses can see what we had to say. We have an in-game group going too, so if you're not in the group, whisper one to me and you can get added. There'll be some people who don't have mics, so I would definitely encourage you to be in the group. You can watch me run in circles around my garrison while we're doing the meeting.
Oh, sweet.
That's exciting.
We have to physically be somewhere?
No, you don't have to be anywhere.
But if you're logged into his Twitch, you can see it.
Yes.
You have to be in Evan's garrison. We all sit around in a circle, and you have to raise your hand in-game if you have something to say.
I kind of want to do that except for the in-game raise hand thing, but we could all sit around the table in my garrison hall. That would be like really weird.
Start rummaging through his stuff.
Cabinet.
Okay, so let's get started. I'm going to put a link to the to our rating document into Mumble chat, and it'll also be on the Facebook page. First thing I want to talk about is our schedule, right? And we obviously the Legion drops on the 30th. There are a lot of people that are pretty excited about it. We have geeks like me who are taking off work for it. So there'll probably be other people that level up pretty quickly. That's just the first step of really getting ready to raid. It's actually probably the easiest step. There's a lot of things to do. There's a lot of hoops to jump through to get up to 850, I believe, is the threshold that we'd like people to be at to start normal raiding. And there's just a bunch to do for that. There's also a lot of leveling of your artifact, so there's sort of a lot of things to know and to work on, and you want to make sure that you understand some of them before you start making choices willy-nilly inside the game. So the document we put out, again, the link is in chat here, and it's also pinned on our Facebook page. Has a lot of information. We'll continue to update it as we know more or if we see things that need to be corrected. But essentially, you want to make sure you train your artifact in the right way. You do not ever want to retrain your artifact, so don't put yourself in that position. It's just a little big, not smart thing to have to do. There's also a whole bunch of stuff for garrison halls. For those that aren't familiar, those are basically Legion's answer to garrisons, except you don't have your own. You share it with everybody who's in your class. It's actually kind of a cool thing. I think it sort of makes the feel of leveling unique to each class. One sec. All right, so anyway, all that's in the document.
ELE moved in from Cairdeas by the server.
Hey, Ellie. So all that's in the document. I would definitely encourage anybody who's not really sure of the process to read it. I'm certainly not going to tell anybody how to play the game or to focus on it the way that I'm going to focus on it or play it the way I'm going to play it. All we're telling you is that we're going to start raiding in 3 weeks after launch. And so that's on this document too, the schedule. And to, we're going to take the people that are ready at that point. And if you're not at that point, then we'll add you as we catch up. But obviously, if it takes you 8 weeks and it takes everybody else 3 weeks, you're going to be in a big hole, and it'll be hard for you to catch up. So ideally, we have 10 people ready, 2 tanks, 3 heals, 5 DPS, or whatever it's going to be by the date, which again is 3 weeks after launch. If it turns out not to be the case, then we'll bump it back a week. Obviously, no one's making it do it. Let's do it a certain way. But that is, I believe, a realistic goal, and I believe we will definitely have 10 people ready and able to go at that point. And again, there's a lot to know, and I would definitely encourage anybody who's trying to make that schedule to make sure they do a little bit of homework before the 30th to make sure they at least have a basic understanding of some of the new mechanics. And by mechanics, I mean like things like order halls and artifacts, that kind of stuff. Anybody have any questions on the schedule? No.
Your questions.
Yeah. Okay. So again, it's maybe it's an aggressive schedule, maybe it's not. I'm not real sure. Again, we'll have a better idea once we get into it and see. And if it's too aggressive, we'll change it. But I don't believe it's going to be. I think it'll be fine. I think it's always a big chore to get yourself geared up at the beginning of an expansion. To kind of go from scratch up, it's tough. But there's a lot of information on how to do it. So if you have any questions, reach out in Facebook or in Guild. So let's get to just raiding in general, right? And this meeting is both for casual raiders and progressive raiders, and it's kind of an interesting merge. If you look in the document, I don't really say next to anybody's name whether they're casual or progressive. Our intent is to bring everybody who wants to raid, who wants to at least try to be progressive, and we'll run logs. We're gonna be really active in trying to make sure that everybody who's going to progressive raid with this is ready for that step. So by that I mean, do they have the gear? Do they have they understand the mechanics? Are they able to execute the mechanics we need them to for the fights? Are they coming prepared? Are they reliably attending? All those things. Can they execute their rotation well enough to really be at that level? Because there are many levels of raiding, and not everybody is able to put in the time to be at where we want to be, and there's nothing wrong with that. But we're going to make sure that everybody who's in the progressive group is able to raid at a pretty high level. And we're also going to be available to help anybody who's struggling with that as well. So if you're somebody who's maybe new to raiding or for whatever reason struggling, and we can tell in the logs, we're going to pull you aside and we're going to talk to you about, maybe hook you up with somebody in your class who can help you, or do what we can to sort of get you moving in the right direction. So I truly believe anybody who wants to raid progressively, who's willing to put in the time to master their class, who's put in the time to understand the fights, and works at it, can do that. It may be a challenge for some people that don't have the time to do it, and that's just a reality of WoW. So having said that, that's kind of where we'll start. Everyone who wants to progressive raid, we'll bring them through, I believe, the first 4 weeks is the plan. At that point, we should ideally be into the first, where we're trying to get into mythics. And at that point, we'll probably, anybody we feel like is not really ready for that, we'll take them aside and kind of come up with a plan with them on how to get themselves ready. And ideally, we will have been talking to anybody who's in that position already. And we'll proceed forward with the people we have that are ready to go to progressive raiding. And again, anybody who's at the point where they're not, it's not like you can't ever be ready. There may be some things you need to work on, and we'll make those determinations by logs and very objective things. It's not a subjective decision. And we'll definitely be available to go over that with anybody who needs help, who's kind of on that bubble. We can show you what we see. We'll show you the logs that we see. We'll maybe show you some videos. When you look at the logs, it'll plot dots and stuff. I can see, like I was looking the other night at one of our Zul pools. I saw a couple of ranged people that their dot never moves, and there's no way they executed the mechanics in the fight. Okay, chill. If you could send me an in-game note about it or something, that'd be great.
Yeah, that last week I'm in Michigan, so.
All right, no worries, man. So having said that, I guess we also want to talk a little bit about attendance, and I think that's something we're going to be a lot more aware of and a lot more strict with, because I believe it's one of the things that held us back the most in WOD. It's one of the things that we struggle with the most, had the biggest impact on the things that we struggle with is just a lack of consistency from week to week on who was there. So I don't know, Thran, do you want to talk about that a little bit?
About which specifically?
Attendance and how we're going to handle that.
Okay. Yeah. So here's kind of the idea we have moving forward. Obviously, it's been a huge issue for us for the last year. Um, so one of the things we're looking at is we're going to be tracking it aggressively. And folks that are consistently missing for good reasons, we will be talking to them and on a case-by-case basis deciding whether or not they can still maintain with the progressive raid. Because let's be honest, if you miss 10 raids in a row, you're behind the gear arc. You're going to be holding back the group. And folks that are missing consistently, well, not even consistently, folks that are missing without planning ahead and letting us know, especially if there's no good reason. After the first time you're gone like that, you'll just get a one-on-one with one of the officers. The second time around, you're going to be dropped down to casual, or if you are casual and working your way toward progressive, you'll be dropped from the watch list. And this is because if we can't depend on you to be here and be here consistently and be responsible enough to let us know if you're not going to be here, it's a major issue with being able to plan the raid around you. There's going to be a lot of things where individuals are going to be in charge of specific things, and if we can't track that where that individual is and that person's not there, then we have to train somebody all over again, and it puts us behind.
And so yeah, it was really important. We want people to let us know it's going to be out. But I was that way for a second. Did you mention what someone's just got a lot of things where they let us know they're out and they're missing a lot of raids?
Yeah, I started with that.
Okay. Obviously, it's an individual situation. We'll deal with some of those case by case. Just, there have been people who've been going through cancer treatments and they didn't tell anybody until we asked them those kinds of questions. So I mean, obviously, we'll try to understand what's going on and work with that person to figure out a way to either solve it or maybe what's best for them and for the raid. Anybody have any questions on attendance? Because I'm certainly not wanting to set us up like we're policing the group or we're it's not kindergarten. We will have a sheet where we track some of the stuff when people miss. But it's just not fair to the whole group when we have people out and we don't know and we wind up, like Thoran said, someone's trained for a certain role and and they're not there and we're doing a progressive fight. I mean, it basically just resets us, and it's not fair to everybody else.
We've all been in the group too where we're sitting waiting. We have 15 people and we're sitting waiting for 40 minutes where we're pugging in someone or finding a friend. And it's super frustrating. And I don't want to do that for the next year and a half.
Yeah, and a lot of times you're in that situation where you need to fill 4 spots or something, and even 2 spots. You're stuck trying to fill somebody in who's maybe a good player, but maybe they're not ready for some reason, and it slows the group down. So everyone just be aware of it. It's something we're going to focus on in this next expansion. One of the main reasons for that is because if we have people that are not able to commit to the schedule the way we need them to, the best time to find other people that can commit to the schedule is going to be early on in the expansion. So we don't want to get halfway in and then looking for people because then there'll be less people that are excited about raiding and that are looking for raids. Okay, so for loot, we're still using EPGP. I liked how the model's gone. If people weren't aware of it, we changed to doing more of a time-based model when the class patch came out. We reset everything, and we've been playing around with how we do it, where we're doing for every 15 minutes someone's in the raid, we get a certain amount of points. We've changed it so pretty much you get more points on a night where we're doing progressive things, harder things, wiping or whatever we're doing. Then you're going to get on a night if you come where it's easy and you just fly through. And that's by intention. We want it to be more rewarding to come when things are hard. We're also being a lot more strict about, if you're not actually able to come in and help, we're not going to give you EPGP points. You have to be where if we actually reached out to you, you could come in. Sometimes a lot of people disconnect and be off for an hour. We leave them in group 8 because we think they may be coming back. For now, we're going to start removing people just so we make sure that we're only really rewarding points to people that are there and able to fill it.
Or they also sometimes will mute their mumble and not be looking at the computer, in which case, if we've asked you to come in and you don't respond and you can't come in because you're unavailable, we'll just have to take those points back or something. I'm not sure how you're going to work that even.
I would figure it out. I don't know if I'm going to take points back, but we'll definitely remove you and keep that in mind next time that you're in that position. Yeah, and there are a lot of people that have my phone number, or that I have their phone number, and so if I don't really care if you want to go offline, if I can text you and bring you back in, it's all good. We will continue to rotate like we do now. Once we get up to Mythic, we want to have a roster of say 25 to 28 people, which means probably on most raid nights that would put us around 25. So we'll rotate from boss to boss. We'll make sure everybody gets equal time, kind of like we do now. People generally won't sit out more than one boss. I know I've had people ask me why we do that. It's just simply a question of, in a perfect storm night where suddenly everyone's got something going on, we're never short. And there are definitely fights where it's really good to have certain kinds of heals or certain kinds of DPS versus others, single target fights or AoE fights or whatever. And when we have 25 people online and ready to go, that gives us options that we have put ourselves in the best situation to succeed, and we can put the best classes in.
Now, just for clarification on the other thing, you don't care if people switch to alt. You just care if they're reachable when they're sitting out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't care.
Okay.
Hey, you're smart to make sure you leave your character in the raid because that's why you get points. But I don't mind if you're in an alt. I don't mind if you log out and watch TV as long as I can get a hold of you.
Cairdeas entered channel.
Right, with you, Chili, it's totally different because if Briss is in the group, we can ask her to grab you.
Yeah.
Same with Even, can phone me if I'm off, or Thran can with Kai.
Yeah, there's again, as long as you're reachable, that's all that really matters. Hey, Kuchins, I got your note, man.
Cairdeas entered channel.
I feel like we're in a really strong position coming in. I think we have a really strong core to our group that finished up WD. Really happy with where we're at. We've added, there are probably 6 or 7, 8 raiders that are really experienced, really positive people that I'm excited about having raid with us that we're not able to raid at the end of the tier because of their gear, but we'll be starting out in Legion. So yeah, let me get you an invite.
One other thing I wanted us to talk about is Ninja. Well, I guess it's not really so much as Ninja AFK as muting your mumble while explanations are going on and during the fights, especially a new fight where we may ask someone to do something and there's no response because they have us muted.
Yeah, I mean, that's not really something. We want people to be ready and prepared, and I feel like sometimes, especially at the end of this tier, where people I think are a little less focused, where I'll use Zulug as an example where we kind of give out the instructions and then we start the fight, and then 3 people die to something we spent 5 minutes explaining, and then they don't have any idea what we asked them to do. That kind of stuff drives me nuts, I'll be honest. We're going to have, and I guess this is a good plan. We're going to have sort of a playbook. It'll be a document, a little bit like our Legion cheat sheet, where it'll have every boss on there and how we do it. Probably some links to some of the fights that we use to come up with a strat, and it'll be online. Everybody should be able to look at it. Everyone should have looked at it before we get to a certain boss. And
Shades entered channel.
And so we want preparation is super important. That's what we're really striving for. The ability to execute the mechanics is super important, and we're going to be looking at it hard when we try to figure out who's really ready to be
entered channel.
Who's not. So please listen and be aware.
Attitude's going to be a deciding factor a bit too, guys, just to give you the heads up. Folks that are team players are going to be part of the team. Folks that are otherwise equal and aren't team players, well, you're not team players. I'm sure you're a great person, but you're not a team player.
I mean, there's nothing that drives me nuts more than, because I'll be honest, I look around the group and I think we have some seriously good players here, but there's not anybody in this group that couldn't do something a little better than they're doing it now. And if we pull you aside, we take the time to pull you aside and tell you,
Rosie entered channel.
we think that you're doing this well, but you're really struggling with this, and it'd be great if you talk to so and so about it, or you need to maybe look at your rotation because we can tell your dot up times are not right. From looking at the logs. What we're looking for is someone to embrace that idea and work on it. What drives me nuts is
Channel,
you get the
peak,
no, I'm doing it
white
right. And
aggro,
you don't know what you're talking about.
SEC.
Sorry, Eve, can you give me your stream here in Mumble so I can copy it and give it to Fade? He's at work.
Sure, hold on.
Or Fatty, or whatever you guys want to call him.
Well, I think that he would prefer we didn't call him fat.
So quiet, no questions. Okay. I don't know. Is there any other topics that we haven't talked about that Maud?
Yeah, what are you doing?
What's that?
What are you doing now?
Getting some feedback there, bud.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was that a Pokeball?
No, I don't know why. Every time I press something on Mumble, it does that.
It sounds like there's an alarm going off in the background.
Sounds like feedback. Do you have your speakers on?
A little better.
No?
I can understand you now. Can you repeat what you said?
Yeah, I just got in here. What are we doing?
Oh, we're just talking about rating and Legion.
Oh, awesome.
So yeah, when we're streaming this, so if you need to go back and kind of look at it, we're just go over the basics of our schedule, of kind of what we're expecting out of everybody, and our timelines, and sort of our approach. I guess there's one thing I haven't talked about, and although I've talked with a lot of people individually, our goal for Mythic, for this tier, is to basically clear Mythic before they release the next tier, right? So, I don't know if you've announced anything beyond this first raid, but we want to be done with the first seven bosses in this raid on Mythic when they release the next one. They have committed that they're going to try and go a little slower in this expansion than they have in the past couple, because they've acknowledged they made a mistake by rushing through High Mall, and then we had too little time on that, and then we had 17 years on HFC. So they're going to try and make it so it's spaced a little better in this expansion. At least that's what they've said. We'll see.
Line Q entered channel.
But our goal, again, is to clear Mythic before the tier's over, and I fully expect us to be able to do that with the core that we've got and the people we've added. And everything we do as far as a raid is going to be towards having a good time, having fun people in our raid, and accomplishing that goal. All right, anybody else have any questions, any thoughts?
Another question about the schedule. I know you were talking a lot about having people commit to the schedule. I know you whispered me about asking which days I could not do, because it sounded like you were trying to change the schedule a little bit. I was wondering if you've changed it at all.
We wound up leaving it the same. We evaluated it all, and we thought about Tuesdays. There's no way we really could do Thursdays. Too many people can't do Thursdays. We kind of looked at Tuesdays, but it really kind of came down to the end that the only tank who can do Tuesdays is me. So that I'm confident in my tanking ability, but I do need another one.
All right, fair enough.
So we're staying with Wednesday, Sunday, Monday.
All right.
And it's still 8 p.m., right?
Correct. 8 p.m.
All right.
to 11 p.m. Eastern Time. That was a good question. Thank you. I meant to mention that.
So the only other question I have is, since we've got the whole group here, we've only had 10 people vote whether or not to continue raiding for the next 2 weeks, or take a couple weeks off, or cut down to 1 or 2 days. And so I think we need to take a vote on that tonight. Is everybody who's on Mumble currently in the raid group?
No, we have a lot of people here that are not currently raiding. I would think that let's ask that question at 8 when we form our raid for people that are actually coming.
Sure.
Of the 10 people that answered on Facebook, like 4 of them aren't actually raiding.
I know.
So yeah, I think it's a good question. We definitely want to know, but let's ask the people that it impacts.
And
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Thran, and I'll say.
And Calico, as far as the alt raid once Legion hits, when we do that split after 4 weeks, once the raid started, that's probably when we're going to start the alt raid. Though it may start earlier depending on how fast we have people to commit to it.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've been telling people that we'll start the alt raid when we start heroic on the progressive raid. It's usually about 1 tier behind it, so it'll be within a week or so of that. So, yeah, that's usually how we schedule it, and we'll just kind of see what that is. Not the same day. It'll be the same date as now. Yeah, it'll probably be Thursdays. So, and I also wanted to mention too that Calico is stepped into a kind of a leadership role, and he's going to help us out with organizing the raids and with helping out around. So we really appreciate it. Thank you, Calico.
Thank you, Calico.
Thank you, Calico.
Calico, after this, I need to talk to you about some issues I have.
Yeah, he'll send you a list.
Channel.
Do not let him talk to you about sponge baths.
He's going to talk about his penis. Just going to be a 40-minute chat about his penis. He doesn't even have problems. He just wants to talk about his penis.
We have a 34 volume set all about his penis.
It really shouldn't take that long to talk about it.
I'm just not here.
It's complete with illustrations.
Vaughn
it's
has
wonderful.
the right idea.
It has do's and do not list.
All right, so let's see. Mott, Thran, is there anything else you guys want to bring up? I have one other big topic, but I wanted to close the meeting with talking to people about what their. I hope people came tonight prepared to tell me what their main character is going to be, what class. Again, we're not going to hold you to it, but we want to recruit anything we're missing, and it's hard to do that when I have a lot of I'm going to play this or this stuff. So.
I guess the only other thing I want to mention, Eve, is for those who came in a bit late, etc., is that we plan on taking people as they're ready. We will add people after the first 10 go as people are ready. And, after doing this for a lot of years, one thing that we've learned is that, lots of people start out with really great intentions of being able to raid and wanting a raid and progressive raid. And sometimes it's not what they thought it would be, or they get a new job or have a new baby or circumstances change. And so they can't end up raiding as progressively as they'd like and as hardcore. We always have the casual group open to those who find their circumstances have changed, but it also means that we will not stop recruiting between now and when the first raids drop. That's going to be our heaviest recruiting. And so we're just going to keep recruiting, and if we end up with more than 30 people, we might have to look at doing a second group.
Yeah, I mean, those are things we talked about doing. If we have, enough people that come along after we've already gotten started and down the road, it took a while to get geared up. or maybe they joined later or started later to do a second raid, we might do it. I don't really generally like doing second raids, but if there's a big enough gap in progression between the two, I think it's okay.
Yeah. And also, I mean, it may look like on paper right now we have, 14 heals. I would be surprised if when we're running a 30-man group, if we have 8 that are geared and ready and able to commit.
Yeah, I love all of you and everybody we've got in our raid. I'm excited about raiding with, but I've done this for many expansions, and you can pretty much take the list of people that tell me they want to raid before the expansion drops. 25 to 30% of those people are never going to be geared to raid, at least not in a timely way, because it's a big chore. Yeah, I love you more than me. But yeah, I mean, so there'd be people who have every intention of raiding, but once they realize, God, I got to grind my rep, and I got to run all this stuff each day to get myself geared up, and I really don't like my class, or I mean, there'll be a dozen reasons, but a lot of people who are saying they're going to raid now will not actually be raiding. It's just history has told us that. So we're not too worried about having more of a class than we need, or more of a role than we strictly need, because at this point in time, I know for a fact that there'll be people that are planning on raiding that just don't really ever get to that point. And we don't really want to put ourselves in a position where, okay, we've got 8 people or 10 people ready to raid, but we only have 1 healer. We got to go out and try and find someone and not really go through a due process. So.
Oh, I did think of one thing I wanted to say.
Sure.
I'm relatively certain that first week that raids are out, one way or another, even if it's not all Cairdeas, we will have a group running. So be prepared.
Yeah. What week is that? The first week they're out? Do we know?
Yeah, 1 second. That would be the week of the 20th, the same day that Brewfest begins.
Gotcha.
So 3 weeks.
Oh, I got a question.
Sure.
Are we gonna dedicate people on certain professions to get the bind on equips faster, or in the fastest way possible?
We used to do that back a couple expansions ago, and they've kind of made it so that sort of stuff doesn't really pay off as much in the last couple expansions. I'll be honest, I'm not really up on if it will for this one or not.
They'll be useful, but not best in slot.
I feel like we have a large enough guild with people who both raid and don't raid, who are happy to share their mats and professions, and they're always topped up very quickly. And we usually have more than 1 or 2.
Yeah, I have 7 characters, and I have every single profession. So.
Same.
Yeah.
I mean, in the officer group alone.
So the answer to the question is I doubt that we will, unless we get realize there's a need for it. I think it's more likely that we'll have them under control without having to do that.
Though we will be doing a derby right off the bat, won't we?
1 month in, I was just going to mention that. So for those who are new, how we fill up our guild bank with mats that we need is 1 month into an expansion. We will have the expansion. We'll have a huge derby where you contribute all current mats only to the guild bank. You donate them through an officer. We keep track of what you donate. Every donation is worth a certain amount of points. And the top contributors get really good prizes. Things like 6 months free WoW, 3 months free WoW, the latest and newest, greatest mounts, gear, $25 Amazon cards, etc. What we do with those mats is we sell what we don't need to raise money for repairs and for contests and giveaways and weekend events,
Channel.
and with the rest, we make mats for the raids, whether it's feasts or food, individual food, flasks, whatever we need. And then you never have to do it again. They usually will last. One big one will normally last a year or longer, sometimes an entire X-Pack. So you'll want to be out gathering as much as you can, getting stuff ready, hoarding it.
Yeah, I heard herbalism and some of the gathering professions are really going to be important, more this tier than it was last year for sure, last expansion. The guide that we have says that herbalism is probably the most profitable one to do. At least
Channel.
So sorry, I forgot to say the meeting.
Minesweeper entered
I
channel.
don't worry, we streamed it, so we'll link it so people can watch it later.
Fuck.
So there's not a full economy that we can gauge that upon, but definitely it seems like mining and herbing are going to be your most profitable professions, even versus the crafter.
I've definitely got my herbalism. I'll have it max so I can do stuff. So just open Q&A if anybody has any questions on anything that we haven't addressed. And again, if you missed part of the meeting, we'll post the stream so people can go back and look at it.
Yeah, after looking at the roster, is there anything you would rather play?
Remember on the roster, I was going to address this earlier and then we got off topic. Remember when looking at that roster that many of those people are just casual players. We really want you to play what you enjoy playing the most. It's the best success rate for us. It's more than likely then that you'll be a long-term raider with us. Find what you want to play, do it well, and we'll figure it out. You can never go just by looking. When we started WOD, we had like 18 druids, and by the time we started raiding, I think we're down to 2.
Yeah, we had 4 tanks, and none of them are our tanks that we have now. So things change, but yeah, the roster, if you look at it, I mean, I've put anybody who's told me they want a progressive raid in there. Even people have just told me they want a casual raid. So it's definitely not a short list. And like you and I talked about Peak when we were talking about it, there'll be a lot of people that don't really get there. I mean, it's just things will come up, and so I just play what you want.
Karma entered channel.
Okay.
And never try to kind of do what you're going to do to fit the raid. At one point, we had no warriors. We started recruiting warriors, and people started switching to their warriors, and literally, like, within 2 or 3 weeks, we had like 12 warriors.
Yeah.
And then we were back to 2 a week later.
Yeah, and then we were back to 2 a week later.
It's very fluid, especially early on. It'll be fluid, so just play what you enjoy, and we'll be fine. I think I kind of, I just took a look at the list yesterday when Mon and I were talking about it. And I tried to guess just from past experience who I thought was going to be ready to go at the very beginning, and it was a pretty balanced group. And I know we have some people that are pretty experienced raiders too that are fairly new. Yeah, I feel like we'll probably be fine, and I would just play what you want to play. Interesting, we only have 1 hunter that I saw.
And that's a melee hunter.
No, I'm sorry, 1 melee, and then we have 1 range hunter. 2 chances range.
4 range.
A proper hunter.
A proper hunter.
So
Hunter's garbage right now, that's why.
Well, hunters and mages always do good DPS.
But Barrage is so good for pulling everything.
Barrage is amazing.
Barrage is gone.
At everything, man.
So good at
Everything is
pulling
hunter
everything.
loot. I mean, best class ever.
We do only have 1 monk. If anybody really likes to play monk.
As of right now, what I've read is that BM Hunter is probably going to be in the top 5 as far as performance once you're at your level 13 on your artifact weapon.
Yeah, they're saying marksman is pretty solid too. I think hunters would be good. I mean, it's just who knows how survival will work out because it's so different now.
Are they still booing on Frosty Case?
Probably.
I don't think so. I mean, again, I wouldn't worry about anything right now. I would just pick the class you want to play, and if it turns out halfway through the expansion you're not able to play, then your class isn't very good. Then I would start to worry. But at least halfway through this first tier, but they're going to tweak stuff so much. The absolute worst place to be going into expansion, and I guarantee you this is true, is on the most powerful class. That is where you do not want to be.
Does anyone have actual updated logs? What are you guys looking at?
They posted some today, but they're probably going to change a lot because I just hotfixed a bunch of stuff yesterday.
Yeah, I haven't looked at anything factual in a little while.
That's what I figured. I knew the numbers were bouncing around because they keep adjusting and hotfixing things like almost within hours.
Yeah.
Line
I would
Q,
focus on
unless
the
the most powerful class is any mage.
Yeah, mages are always strong. That's true. I mean, I can't remember an expansion where mages weren't strong. Now, they have certain specs that are not good, but there'll always be a strong spec for mages, for hunters.
It's all about elemental shamans.
Holy snap, do we not have a single war?
We have warriors.
Warlocks.
We got 2 warlocks. We've got Shadesbane, I believe, is playing a warlock unless he changes his mind. And then we've got Gazelle is playing a warlock too.
Nice.
So what Ma was just saying, we only have one Mistweaver monk saying that they're going to play. So I think that's...
And we have no other type of monk either.
I would have played Brewmaster if they didn't ruin it. I missed that class.
Yeah, I'm not real happy with the Brewmaster either. But I'm not going to cry about it.
Yeah, but you can take a better hit than I can.
I think, yeah, my mitigation was okay. I didn't seem to really die that much, but it was... I just can't hold threat. It's crazy. Anyway, so any other questions? So we'll be one-on-one if you want to ask. If you haven't told me what class you're playing, please send me an in-game mail. We'll do it that way. Send me an in-game mail with whatever your most up-to-date class choice is, and I will update the roster. Okay, and you're still doing Ellie, Evil?
Do they release the first tier, the dates when they're releasing the first tier?
I think so. I think the 20th is what we just said.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think
so. September 20th.
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
Yeah, they haven't officially announced it, but it's been leaked several places, several ways that it'll be 3 weeks after release.
All right. So we got 3 weeks to hit max level and get the eye level required to raid.
Yep.
First raid is gonna be what?
What's that?
First raid is gonna be the first raid tier is gonna be. Oh, it's not Cairdeas, right?
Emerald Nightmare.
Oh, Emerald Nightmare.
It's Emerald Nightmare.
And Cairdeas was gonna be a dungeon, I think, not a raid.
Right.
It's Gruel's lair.
Oh, okay. I thought. Okay, so is Cairdeas gonna be a dungeon like?
Even if you can send me $50 for tonight. You know, I don't want to break you. If you have 100 and you can send me 50, or if you have 200 and you can send me 100, that'd be amazing.
What are we talking about?
Huh?
What?
Okay. Thanks, David.
I think she's on the phone.
Thanks, David.
I think she's on the phone.
you.
Hi, David.
Have a good night.
Like, are we charging
Bye-bye.
raid spots now? I want $50.
Can
That's
David
some
send me
wicked
100?
bribes there,
Yeah,
Mod.
I was gonna say, when do we get to share this $50?
Sorry,
Alright.
did I? What did I miss?
You missed
My girlfriend had a baby, 10 pounds, 11 ounces, 24
Big
inches
fucking
long.
baby.
Well,
I
that's,
know.
That's a big baby, but more about this money. Where's our money?
What money?
You said you were gonna get us $50.
The money you were asking David for.
Oh, yes. Well, he owes me some money.
Well, when are we getting our cut?
You're not.
Oh.
Sad
And
face.
every day there's a new excuse.
Oh, yeah, I've had that friend.
You gotta break
Yeah.
his legs.
But his wife just had a baby, so whatever. He's gonna, and he didn't pick up his paycheck, but I told him to at least send me 50. At least that's part of it. He owes me 10,000.
Jesus fuck Christ.
Wow.
Like my
Yeah.
in-laws, they owe us 21.
Channel, line
He'd have a broken leg.
I'm putting money towards a new computer. Please deposit straight into my bank account. Thanks.
Well, he makes a payment every 2 weeks. Although there's always an excuse not to.
Channel, pizza. Sure, what's your social security number?
All right, back to the raid. We've got another one starting here in a little bit. So, anybody have any questions or anything else that we can answer? Again, we'll be available as officers to answer questions.
626-49-
I just want to say everyone should take a look at that guide that was posted on Facebook by some of the officers. A lot of great information in there. Like Eve was saying earlier, information on how to get the artifact points, best way to level it, information on professions, best zones to level in. Just everyone should take a look at it.
This
That's
is
on
yeah,
Facebook.
this is a must do, guys. You must look at that. Eve put a link to it in here as well.
Is it possible to get it relinked?
Yeah. It's actually pinned to the top of the Facebook page.
Phenomenal. So to add you to Facebook, it's just under Cairdeas?
Just go to Cairdeas and you'll have to request membership, and then I can accept you.
Okay, phenomenal. Thank you.
Sure.
Actually, I'd like to make a comment to the people who are assembled regarding that. If you're like me, you don't have a ton of free time, and reading stuff like this will really, really increase the efficiency. Yeah, it kind of kills a little bit of that thrill of discovery factor, but be shocked how much a little information will help you plot your character, get your zones down, get your gear down, get all of those things done. It can make up, over a 3-week period, probably 3 or 4 solid days of grinding. And you will thank yourself later for saving that time.
I totally agree.
Yeah, this is a must have if you want to be an early raider.
It's the best document I've seen pre-release of an expansion with kind of information and kind of how to go about your stuff.
So I linked it. I also linked the link for the Facebook group to join it. That also is an absolute must. It's where you're going to find all our upcoming strategies, links we want you to watch. Hey, Omni.
To make it a long story short, most guilds have an outside forum that they use to communicate, relay strategies, provide documents. For us, it was a lot easier to use Facebook, which is free for everybody, than it was to use something else. So if that means you have to create a fake account for Facebook just to sign in, what the fuck ever, just get on there.
Yeah, I did a fake one, modified Storm Rage is my name on there. Well, not in the one that I use, but I do have one like that too.
You used to do that.
Yes.
Have you guys ever used Discord?
No.
I haven't.
Yeah.
Talking about that yesterday. I've never used it, but I've heard it's good.
Yeah, it might be really good, and you don't ever have to you can use a mobile app even, and you don't even have to make a Facebook account.
It's
That's
great for
annoying
posting
stuff.
that you guys want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only problem being that Mumble runs at 144 kilobits a second, and the max for Discord is 96, so the voice quality is much lower.
Yep.
Yeah,
That doesn't have to be used for voice. It could just be used for just
notifications and posts.
Omni channel.
So yeah,
Well,
we
anyway.
paid Mumble for the next year, I think. So
Yeah.
at that point, we'll figure out what we want to do if we want to change, but we'll definitely stay with what we got for a while.
We used to use Vent and we tried Mumble. Took a vote. The majority liked Mumble, so.
I like the sound quality on Mumble.
Trust me, I've hosted Mumble accounts. This is great. It's fine. We're just saying for notifications and stuff, Discord's a lot easier.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Thank you. Appreciate that. So,
How
have
so?
any other questions? Because I've got to start the other raid.
Channel, line Q. Also, I have to say something.
Did I miss the left shark
I don't
section
want
on that
to set my
document?
class in stone until I
That's
have
just
to
secret
with artifact
version of the
weapons.
No,
It's
okay.
locked
Those
off
left
as well.
sharks.
Real quick before I switch off my alchemist, are we good on potions? Do we need anything?
think we might
For
have
tonight.
something, but not for tonight, but just in general. I think Thorhan was looking at it, so he can ask you for help if he needs to.
Okay.
I'll be able to let you know in 20 minutes.
All right.
If you have questions later, just post them on Facebook or reach out to one of us in game.
Hey, David. Sorry.
All right, so she's working.
No, it's okay.
You're on the phone again.
Where's my money?
Just send it tomorrow or whenever. But you really need to start making these payments every 2 weeks. Or
Modified move to heals
There
by
we go.
Fernandez.
Yeah, one of our renters.
Yeah, it feels really dishonest to be listening into her private conversations.
Yep.
Well,
Line Q.
I moved her down.
WTF I have to pay to be in Cairdeas. I'm in.
Thank you.
am I here? I
You
see
were
people
talking
talking,
to
but I
us.
don't hear anything. Oh.
Thunzy entered.
Yeah, we
I think you have your push to talk down again.
Sorry, pardon?
Hey, Mr.
Mod, your
So I'm going to call the meeting. Any other questions people have, just reach out to any of the officers. If you can help, Narg, Mod, myself, Calico, Thran. I think like everybody. Hopefully I didn't bring anybody. And also any other raiders are going to know the answers too. But yeah, we'll try to help. We'll answer questions, whatever we can do. I'm excited. We're under 2 weeks now, and it'll be here soon. All right. Thanks everybody. Stopping the stream now.
Channel, line Q, how is Nargo Mod? He didn't finish his
Gotcha.
probation period yet.
kind of depends on